and welcome to the Haven Financial Group radio show. Thanks for listening. Please give us a call at 612-504-8400 or visit us online at havenfinancialgroup.com. Kim, great to be with you again, where every week we're talking about retirement, inflation, all these uplifting things, maybe some not so uplifting, but again, great to be with you.
It's great to be with you as well. And here we are approaching the Thanksgiving week, and much to be thankful for on my end. I'm sure you feel the exact same way.
Yeah, I love the holidays. The girls will all be home for Thanksgiving. We get to see family we don't get to see very often, and that is so important, especially with everything going on, in this world today.
Yeah, absolutely. So we hope that everybody who's listening is getting ready for a wonderful Thanksgiving week, a time when they can be with family and friends. That's for sure. I understand today we're going to talk a little bit about the legacy of inflation and how that affects your finances. Inflation, boy, there's a word that we've used for the last 3.5 years, just nonstop, right?
Can't get away from it. It's here. It's still here. And who knows how long it's going to be here, but it really affects people, especially that we sit down with that are planning for retirement, in retirement, who on a fixed income. So, yeah, it's here. We need to discuss it. People's pocketbooks are still hurting, and, money only goes so far.
Well, let's preview for everyone exactly what we're going to talk about. We're going to begin with the impact of inflation on prices. Now, this has been from about 2020 now through almost all the way through, hard to believe, 2024. So as I said, for the last, 3.5 years, we've definitely been talking about inflation. Then in the second segment, we're going to talk about the Federal Reserve on inflation and the road to economic stability, exactly what the Federal Reserve can do about inflation and some of the steps that have been taken. Then we're going to talk about some strategies that you could use to fight inflation. That's important for everyone. It's especially important for those who are in retirement. They have a plan in place, and, this bump in the road has hit. And then finally, mistakes to avoid when adjusting your portfolio for inflation. So we've got you covered this morning when it comes to talking about inflation. I understand we're also going to have a guest, Larry.
Yeah, we're going to have Kyle, our certified financial planner, who's on the investment team here at Haven Financial Group, and we'll have him for the other segments. He can add some value to what's going on, what can we do, those types of things as it relates to your money, investments, and retirement.
Sure. Before we get started talking about our agenda here, let me just ask you, what's your experience been over the last 3 or 4 years when it comes to folks who are coming in? And, obviously there have been major inflationary issues. What are their fears or what are their concerns?
The biggest fear continues to be, and it has been for years, Larry, do I have enough money to retire? Or when am I going to run out of money? Is it going to be 95 or 75? And just looking at the increases since 2020, it's hard. We're hard pressed to not feel the pain of money, because I looked at it back in 2019, a dozen eggs to now are up 163%. Sugar up 70%. Bread, the essentials, 59%. We all need a good steak once in a while. They're up 41%. Even cookies up almost 40%. This is just a few of some of the essential items, and how can our pocketbooks not be hurting? And let's face it, a lot of retirees are on a fixed income, and their income has really, really been strained because that money is not lasting as much, and perhaps they've had to, dip into their savings account or some of their liquid funds. They have less disposable income, maybe not as much extra to go do the things that they want. So what we've always done is we've always buffered in increased expenses, just because we know inflation has been here, but this isn't the first time it's been here. Over time, inflation goes up and it goes down just like everything does. But it's now more than ever so important for people to have good tabs on what's their budget, their expenses. And, oftentimes we talk to the younger generation about this, but it's just as applicable or even more for those that are in retirement to have a good grasp. Where are you spending the money? Because a lot of times you just get used to doing it a certain way. And then if you really put pen to paper, you can find out, wow, we have a lot of extra going here or here. Maybe this could be cut out. Maybe we could do things a little differently. And, it's not fun to dig deep into spending of money, but it's important if we want any money there to be there
Sure.
to spend in retirement.
Absolutely. Let's give folks a stat that might not be surprising to a lot of people, but I think opens your eyes. Since 2020, total inflation has been reported to be around 21%. Now, inflation is down. There's no two ways about it since we were at the peak, and it continues to drop. But it seems like, Larry, prices are not coming down. The two are not necessarily hand in glove.
No, they're not. Inflation, everything's gone up, and they say inflation has come back down, and actually it just went up a little bit again. But inflation can come down, but that doesn't mean those prices at the store come down. In fact, in many areas, I don't see them have come down at all. So, there's discussion about, price fixing or some of those things. I don't know. They're definitely not the answer either. But what we can do individually is be accountable for what we're doing, what we're spending. Now more have an accurate budget. You might have to revise some of these budgets. Maybe consider some different inflation type of investments, which I think we're going to get in, because the purchasing power of that dollar has just been deflated. And if we look at the real estate market, higher interest rates have kind of created, some folks to be house locked, where the prices of the homes are so astronomical, but you can't get an interest rate or mortgage rate for less than 7%. So, we have clients, and I have these conversations that, want to get into one level living, but it doesn't make sense financially because the houses are so expensive. There's not much available. And for a lot of people to have, they don't have a mortgage, which I'm a big, big believer in going into retirement without a mortgage. So it's really creating some difficult decisions for those that are maybe looking to downsize or look at alternative type of homes.
Absolutely. All right. So let's talk about this a little bit, Larry, with, this lasting impact of inflation on prices. What are some of the concepts and the strategies that you guys sit down with your clients and talk about? What are some options that they might have?
Well, I think it's always important to come back to the fundamentals. We're very big on the fundamentals, making sure you keep an adequate amount of savings, liquid monies. I've said it before, for married couples or individuals to have 50 to 100 grand in retirement readily available. That might sound like a lot, but there's always things that come up. Just this last week, our furnace had issues. Well, you want to have the money available to take care of those things rather than having to sell investments, which may be up like they are now or maybe down in downtimes, and you don't want to be selling off those assets then. And in recent years, when inflation was high, I bonds were very attractive. I don't sense that they're going to go back to 9%, which they were for a period of time. But, really looking at all the investment options, making sure you have the right recipes for the right type of tax classification types of investments, really fundamentals, sharpen that pencil, figure out where your money's going, where it can be cut out. And, it's really impact the long-term savings. It really, really has. So making sure that you're depleting it too much, and then maybe waiting on Social Security. We teach lots of Social Security classes. There is cost of living adjustments every year, not guaranteed, but we've had some nice increases. So really scrutinize and analyze your income streams now, and perhaps they're going to increase. Maybe you haven't turned on a pension yet. But really getting back to, again, the fundamentals, budgeting, saving. Maybe that means delayed gratification. And again, having a plan. And first of all, you got to have a plan. A lot of people don't. They wing it.
Right.
And that's not a good way to go into retirement.
Sure. Absolutely.
Some sort of plan is better than no plan.
While we have said that, over the last 3.5 years, we've seen this huge inflation. We have seen it certainly come down from its peak. What are you telling people? And I know you've just walked through some of those kinds of strategies, but this is not the last time that a lot of people will see inflation. I mean, it is cyclical. It does happen, and it can certainly happen again.
Oh, and it will happen again. We look at the historical inflationary rates. They were real high. They were low for a very long time. Now they've been high. We've always buffered it into our projections, our Monte Carlo analysis. We've always factored in higher than normal or average inflation because, inflation is a complete game changer. If it's 2% relative to 3.5%, could change the whole outcome of retirement. So that's why, this really adds up to a situation where you may not spend the same way as your parents did, or the way your kids might.
Right.
And remember, retirement is a long-term, well, at least we hope it's a long-term process or a plan. 10, 20, 30 years is very feasible. So that's why it's the important time is now to construct a plan, a financial plan, a retirement plan that doesn't have to be complicated, but talk through and walk through, have a partner that can hold your hands and strategize over what can be done or not get done. Right now, we're doing a fourth quarter tax planning strategies, and really getting into the details. And that's where a lot of people are not getting the attention they deserve. And that's why start by giving us a call, getting on our calendar. There's no cost. Listeners have nothing to lose, only to gain. And that we can be reached at 612-504-8400 or online. Kim, a lot of great classes, even now through the holidays, at havenfinancialgroup.com. I encourage listeners to go there.
Absolutely. Let me give you the number one more time. It's 612-504-8400. You can also go to havenfinancialgroup.com. Be sure you give them a call. Tell them you heard us here on the radio and you'd like to set up one of those free appointments to talk about putting together a fabulous plan that can be inflation proof, or at least certainly can get you through some of these difficult times when it comes to retirement. All right, when we come back, we'll continue this conversation about inflation. We're going to talk about the Federal Reserve and its impact on inflation and economic stability. You're listening to the Haven Financial Group Radio Show.